Hey everyone, welcome to this week's YouTube video. I am so excited to start creating Christmas art with you. We're going to create these darling trees. It's what I call my Christmas watercolor warm-up. I'm also sharing with you really fun ways how to creatively plan for the holiday season. I'm going to share with you my tips on how I plan out my holiday calendar so I'm taking care of the most important things and spending the time with the people that are closest to me. So come along with me. I have a really fun planning and crafting. Hey everyone, welcome back to the creative season. Okay, I hope that you have something warm to drink. So the weather outside is finally turning frightful and I am delighted. I don't have a fire going as the song talks about, but I am really thrilled that the winter is on its way and Christmas is just around the corner, and so is Thanksgiving. As I'm recording this, we are still a few weeks away from Thanksgiving, but I am already looking at my calendar. So a couple of years ago, I had wrote a book called Don't Let Christmas Kill You. And it was all about, for us women, and especially those of us who are creatives and doing lots and lots of things, how to have a joy-filled Christmas and how to have it be much less chaotic and crazy, right? Increase the joy, decrease the crazy. Don't turn up into basically a Grinch on December 26th who's having a major meltdown. So anyways, it was a really fun book to write and I share a lot of things in it, but I wanted just to share with you, my creative friends, about how to plan your creative calendar for the holidays. And because, for example, like I mentioned earlier, for those of us who are creatives, this is our time of year to shine. And if you're creatives and you love the holidays, I mean, we're on full creative doing right now, right? So we are just going on high gear and having a ton of fun, but sometime in the middle, I don't know, mid to end in December, I will just fall apart. I'm totally exhausted and I'm missing all the magical moments. So a few years ago, I thought I am in charge of my own self, not anybody else, but of myself, and I'm self-sabotaging. So I wanted to share with you a few tips for creating a calendar. Super easy. I am really into, this is not business plan, this is not 23 steps. This is take 15 minutes, grab your favorite cup of hot something or cold something and your calendar, and let's go and look at it, and let's plan on having more peace, more joy, less chaos that we don't want, right? I'll take a little bit of Christmas crazy, but most of it, I want it to stay away. So again, about 4 things to do, and then I'm going to give you some tips, and then we're going to go into just a little bit of creative fun that I want to share with you. Also, there's a free PDF, and I'll have the link below if you want to print it out and fill it out and just use it as a reminder. But grab your calendar if you have on your phone or your paper calendar, and I want you to do something first that might seem a little bit counterintuitive. So 4 steps. The first one is this. I want you to put on your calendar times of rest. Yep, I want you to start with that. I think, again, there are so many good things to do, and we feel like we have to do all of them, but we first need to make sure that there is some time of rest, and that's important for so many reasons, but I'm not going to go into it too much here, but a day a week has been, I know for me, we call it, the Sabbath. So you may be called a Sabbath or a day of rest. For me, that looks like no electronics as much as I possibly can. So, I stay off the social media, I stay off the news, all the things for at least 1 day a week. And that's been really helpful. But then other times, what is restful to you? Because you can still take, whether, it's a Sunday for me, typically that day of rest, if it still end up being so crazy busy that it's not restful at all, right? It might be full of good things, but not restful. So I have really looked at my calendar and looking at, for example, the first beginning of November is just bonkers for me in so many good ways. So I thought, okay, that's fine. I'm going to plan all that out. But for me, Thanksgiving weekend, so the day after Thanksgiving and a couple of days after, I am planning a pretty much a low key where I'm not running around. I'm not doing all the things. We're going to do some really focused rest and rejuvenation and refilling and all the things and preparing. And that way, when I go and start December, I am starting more on a full tank. And, again, rest may be by yourself. You may be resting with your family and thinking about some things. What's restful for my family? What's restful for the kids? What's actually restful instead of adding to chaos, right? We know our own family's rhythms and what they need. So schedule that. Schedule those times of rest on your calendar, and don't feel like you're being, that's unfair or that it's not necessary, because it is. It's important for all of us. Other things that might be restful for you might be going for walks or going and having coffee with your mom or a mentor or a special friend. You know, I have often said that a good conversation with a close friend will keep me re-energized for a couple of weeks. So again, write in some calendar some things in that are restful for you, and make sure you're taking time to rest. Okay, next. The next thing is number 2. What's the most important and who is the most important? There's too many people to see and too much to do. So what I started doing is I started realizing, okay, usually by November, I pretty much know the major events. I might need to leave some days blank for some margin, for some spontaneity. We're not being rigid, right? This is a flexible schedule. But I know, for example, I've got a family member, we've got a play going on, for example. I know there's already some gatherings that are happening, some family coming in. So I just go ahead and calendar those. And then I think to myself too, you know, who are the most important people? Who, if at the end of this year, I will be really disappointed that I didn't prioritize seeing them. So for example, one person would be my grandma, and she's been definitely a priority the last couple of years. Another person would be my youngest sister. I really want to spend some intentional quality and quantity time with her. And there's a couple other people, but there's actually not too many, but I will be disappointed if I don't prioritize those people and make sure that I spent time with them this holiday season. So maybe I'll just write on my calendar to check in with them to see what would be important to them to do, and make sure I schedule it. Make sure I schedule the events. All right. So the next is, what do you not need to do? So there's lots of things that we actually don't have to do during the holiday season. For example, I, do lots of social things and I love doing them, but December's so busy, a lot of the social, even my friends that I'm getting together with, I can put those off until January. If December is really going to be crazy, and let's be honest, it is, there's just a certain really intensity to December especially, I will simply go ahead and push things off graciously and kindly as possible until January and say, I really want to spend focused time with you. Let's get together in January. Or I might do a gathering of friends all in one evening and just send out an invite. Maybe we'll do like a paint and dessert this year or whatnot, or maybe it'll be an open house. But that way I'm able to do some social things too that works for some, and we're able to see people and get together, depending on what your comfort level is during this time and season of our lives. So that's just another idea. A lot of things I'm saying no to. Next is, so we've talked about rest. We've talked about who's important, what's important, those priorities. And then we're going to look, we put it on the calendar. That's our number 4. And then be ready to just say a gracious no to many other things that might come up that we know are going to come up. And that's okay, right? Because we really want to be able to be present to the most important people in our lives for the most important activities in this season. And it does change from year to year, right? So that has really helped me to make sure that I'm spending and investing my time in the right places with the right people, and graciously saying no, thank you to everything else. Some years I'm able to do things like volunteer, and other years it's just not the season. And guess what? We've got 11 other months of the year to volunteer and to serve and to entertain and do all the things. So I just encourage you with that if you feel like your calendar is just out of control, especially in December. All right. So the magic is in the scheduling. Don't be afraid to, say no. Don't be afraid to put stuff on the calendar. And then finally, so that was the schedule. Finally, 5 is my favorite thing that came about a couple of years ago. I don't even know how I thought about it, but I call it my quiet December nights. And what that is I schedule a couple of times in December, depending on the year. Maybe it's just one, maybe it's a couple, where I block off a free night. I am not going out. I am not volunteering. I'm not committing to a social activity, none of that. And some years I've done all my Christmas cards. Other years, maybe I've gone for a quiet walk, but usually it's something that's refueling and re-energizing. And you don't have to do this on your own. If you've got kids, maybe you have a quiet night with your significant other, your spouse, maybe a grandparent, your kids. The idea is to kind of put away all the electronics and distractions, to usher in a quiet period, as much as quiet would be for you, right? Maybe we have some music going on, but it's really a time to experience some of the wonder and the just what I would call the magic of the holiday season, of the Christmas season and the Thanksgiving season. I think one of the wonderful things about childhood is that there wasn't a huge list of to-dos, right? There was lots of time to imagine and wonder and think about everything under the Christmas tree, or play with the nativity, or look at the lights. And for us as adults, it really hasn't changed so much. The magic is in wondering. It's in gratitude. It's in the moments, right? And so not overscheduling really has helped me to refocus on what is most important at Christmas time. There's other things that I could go into that I would love to go into, but I wanted to just kind of keep this easy and brief. So once again, what we're talking about is, first, we're going to schedule some rest, right? We can't go on an empty tank. So make sure to schedule some rest, whatever that looks like for you and your family. Number two, what's the most important? Who's the most important? Or reverse that. Who's the most important? What's the most important? Schedule those activities. If you're more spontaneous, schedule some blank nights. You're like, we're going to be doing something fun. This is going to be a fun Christmas night. We're not sure yet what. Finally, next is to put it on the calendar. So put that on the calendar, and then finally also schedule those quiet December nights where we're kind of going to be electronic free, distraction free. We're going to not have a bunch of things going on, but we're going to focus on maybe, again, Christmas cards writing as a family, going and walking through the neighborhood and looking at the lights, making memories. There's something about those quiet December nights that I have integrated. Again, sometimes years I have a couple, some years it's just one, but they're memorable. All right, I hope this encourages you. Now, a couple of tips for you. Recognize the erratic ebb and flow of the holiday season. As I mentioned at the top of this YouTube video, some years it is just crazy busy for a couple of weeks, and then I have a slowdown, and then it's crazy busy for a week, and then there's a bit of a slowdown. That is how the holiday season tends to be. And when I just accept that and kind of go with that, things typically go a little bit better. Number two, choose some healthy patterns for me. I love baking. I'm not really a health nut at all, but what I normally do is I make sure that I continue exercising. That really helps my energy, and at least I keep breakfast healthy. So those are just two healthy things for me. Whatever you do for you, make sure that you just continue with that healthy habits. That's going to help your calendar for sure. Magic is in the moments. Don't bypass, don't be so crazy, busy, fast that you miss those special moments. Allow yourself to slow down. This is how memories are made. And then 5, we will inevitably disappoint people when we say no, and that includes us sometimes. Sometimes I need to say no to myself, and I have to disappoint myself, but I know I can't do it all, and I know when I'm pushing my own limitations, and it's really going to affect those around me who I don't want it to affect, or my own health, my own sanity. Again, the idea is not to be a Grinch, right, this Christmas. So I know what ends up making me a Grinch. And then finally, gratitude and wonder go hand in hand. So I just hope, this Christmas season, this Thanksgiving season, that you look for the gifts in the season. As Ann Voskamp encouraged us to do all those years ago. I don't know if I can find 1,000 gifts. That's a lot, but definitely keeping a little journal and just noticing all the good gifts that God is gracing and bringing into your life. It just changes us, right? It just changes us. So I hope this encourages you. We're going to do a little bit of fun creativity now, just some a fun watercolor to incorporate into your journal, or maybe put in some snail mail, something light and easy, but at time just to enjoy the quiet and have a little bit of holiday fun. So I'll just see you in just a minute. Grab your watercolors and let's paint together. Hey everyone. Okay, now that we have talked about planning for the holidays, I wanted just to do a quick watercolor sketch, what I call warming up. So I'm getting ready to do some Christmas workshops, super excited, and I always start with the warm up. Just like when we exercise and we've got to warm up our bodies, I really think it's important to warm up our hands, our paints, all the things. So I wanted just to take you through a fun activity that as you're thinking about holiday planning, both your Thanksgiving and your Christmas, we can start also looking at our art planning, our creativity. And this is just a really fun idea to take you into next week. It's kind of like what I call Christmas doodling too. Now, all you need, I've got my palette, I've got my paints. We're going to use a couple of greens. I'm going to pull up my red. We're going to use cadmium yellow, medium hue. And I have got, of course, my favorite size 7 round tip brush. I've got a couple pieces of watercolor. These were scrap pieces that I have taped down. I have my eraser and my pencil and my micron pen. So now I am going to go ahead and do some sketching with both so you can see how this looks. I'm going to adjust my light just a little bit. We are losing sunlight. Of course, I thought, okay, I'll turn on some light, see if we can get a little bit of I have a good lighting here before we lose it all. Okay, so we're just gonna sketch out Christmas trees, and I really want to show you how you can create really gorgeous trees, really variegated colors. What I mean by that is when you look, I'm working on a commission piece right now that has a lot of trees in it. And when you look at trees, I'm just sketching on my evergreen. I'm gonna do a nice branch or stem down here. I'm going to do another one over here. So we're going to space them out. If you want to do just a light sketch so you don't get into anybody's space, just go ahead and do that, because these will be fun to cut out and then to do all sorts of things with. You can hang them up on the tree, you can send them in mail, all sorts of things. You can use them as gift tags. So again, I'm just sketching out some trees. And as I was talking about the greens, when you look at trees, even an evergreen tree, there's so many different colors of green. So we're going to use green and blue and a little bit of yellow to create some really fun trees. So this is a great way to warm up our hand for sketching, right? So a lot of nice movement here. You can see I'm not sketching anything super exact. I'm going to do a little bit fatter tree stump on this guy and then bring out my branches. And on this one too, maybe I'll even do like a blanket around them. So a little tree blanket. And then I'm going to switch over here. I'll use my micron pen so you can see how that looks. I'm going to bring it in just a little bit here. And when I use the micron pen, again, I'm sketching with it. I'm not drawing per se. I'm not doing harsh lines. Of course, it's much more dramatic. It's going to add, I'm going to do a little longer. It's not a stem, it's a trunk. It's a trunk on this one. And again, I'm just outlining where my branches are going to go. And then over here again, I think for this one, I will put my tree in a pot. Like maybe this will be more of a Charlie Brown Christmas tree, right? So we've got the tree hanging over here because we're going to have a single ornament hanging off of it. And we have a few droopy leaves, right? There's not too many. We've got a nice stem here, a nice branch, nice tree trunk. And that's really cute. I love a Charlie Christmas tree, right? It's so, so cute. We'll put a little ornament down here and maybe one right here. But again, just sketching that out. And so you kind of see we're starting to get a flow here, and we can just keep going. So what I'm going to do though, since we have these 4 done, and you can see this could be really fun if you're doing this in front of the TV, maybe watching some holiday movies or a game or whatnot, and just being with your family. Really fun to start creating these fun Christmas, holiday, winter trees. So I'm going to go ahead and start, and I'm actually going to take yellow, and so add a lot of water to your watercolor, right? Water to the watercolor. You need a lot of water, and then I'm going to take that yellow. I'm going to bring it over here, and I actually have a hooker's green right here. That's a hooker's green dark, and I'm going to mix those guys up together. All right, I'm going to get some more green, and I'm going to put it right over here. All right, so now that I've done that, I have quite a bit. I have permanent green right here, and that's much more of almost a spring green, right? Almost like a light pea soup green. I've got that. So we have a nice array of greens. I'm going to rinse out my brush really well. I'm going to pick up some more yellow. I've got some lemon yellow too. And I'm just going to mix that together. Great. So now I've got quite a bit of green. Set that over here. And I am going to start laying down that paint. Now, I don't want to cover up the whole tree. What I want to do is just add some leaves. Think of adding some branches really, since they're not leaves. Don't add everything, just some. And I'm going to move over to this guy too. Now, one of these I did want to add some ornaments. So I'm just going to go ahead and sketch in the ornaments, mostly to remind myself that there's ornaments on this tree. Otherwise, they will just all turn into green trees, right? All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll put another one right here. All right, there we go. So we're going to watch out for the ornaments and keep it nice and loose. I'm going almost like a skirt, moving from side to side, nice and loose. Now I'm going to come back next and grab one of the darker greens, and I'm going to come through. We'll even start, and we're going to add some more. We're going to let the colors dance, and the greens are going to dance just beautifully together. So I'm adding in extra leaves, but also letting the colors merge together. And that looks really nice. I'm going to go under this one a bit. Now I'll go again on this tree next to it, and the same thing. We'll go ahead and let the colors just merge. I really like that. I'm going to grab some more of this Hooker's Green, the dark green, and get that on my brush here. And the wetter the paper is, the more it's going to dance. So just if your paper is super wet from the previous paint, it's going to dance even more. And that's part of the fun and the beauty of it, right? I'm going to add some extra branches up here. Maybe this is a nice Douglas fir. Very nice and thick. Okay, and then moving back over here as well. Just, you can even take your brush, get it pretty wet, dip it in water again, and just dab around. Isn't that fun? And isn't that pretty? Super pretty, and when it dries, it's going to be just lovely. So let's go ahead and get your brown wet. If you want to grab a smaller brush, go ahead. I've got burnt sienna, and I have sepia here. I'm going to grab my burnt sienna, my nice light warm brown. Oops, I accidentally got a little red in there. That's okay. I'm going to creep right under here, and I'm just going to lay in that branch. Don't feel the need to cover it all in. Going down here. And if you wanted to, if you want to put a little bit more brown up here as well, that works. Over on my Charlie Brown tree. Now you will notice with the micron pen that the micron might bleed a little bit, and that's fine. That is just fine. So you can see here, these are turning out really cute. We haven't even been painting and sketching for 10 minutes, and already they're just coming to life. So once again, I'm going to take, I'm going to start with my darker green this time for this tree, with the Charlie Brown tree, and because there's not so many branches on him. So we're just going to do a couple branches, and I know that the green is going to go into the brown a bit. That's okay. That's just fine. Maybe I'll add just a few more to this sweet tree. Maybe down here we add some branches or some of those pine needles down below, right? We might even add them, showing how they've all fallen off because he's just a little bit dry. Okay, and then I'm going to come back over here and start painting. Again, it's a different look with the micron pen. It's a little bit more of a graphic look, right? It's almost an illustrated look, which I really enjoy that. I think it's fun. I think too, if you're feeling even a little bit hesitant, it's been a long time since you pulled out the watercolors, it's fun to use the micron pen. Almost, it's not a coloring guide, but it almost feels like that just a little bit. And I have not gone full Christmas, just so you know. Next week, next Wednesday, we'll be releasing an autumn wreath right before Thanksgiving. So if you want another autumn project, a water tutorial, that's going to be next week. Now you'll notice too, this tree, it's a little bit taller. It's a little bit more narrow. I can really kind of control how much width I do. Partly it's given by the amount of space I've given myself. I'm actually going to extend my tree stump a little bit here, tree trunk, and have it just go a little bit longer. Okay, that's nice. And then add a little bit darker up here and here. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, now coming back up top, what I want you to do now is grab a blue. I've got a couple of blues. Now I have a cerulean, this is actually a cobalt blue. It's more of a flat blue. If you have a phthalo blue or an ultramarine, grab one of those. Those are going to be darker. You can even see as I play with it there how bold it is. Now I want you to take that bold blue and go and mix it now with your green. And then add a little bit water. It's depending on how much paint you have left. So now you've got a lot of blue, and I'm going to actually pick up some more blue and mix it in. So now we have a blue-green. Come back up top and now add in another layer. You can add in some specific branches. Now, depending again how wet your painting is, it's going to blend. If it's a little bit drier, you're going to see more of the individual colors. But again, this is really a fun way to create a lot of different greens within your tree. When you look at a Christmas tree, it's not only green. And I think, you know, it's fascinating how many different colors there are. If you want it to be really bold, you could pick up the blue, not even mix it, and then come and where it's wet and just add blue right on top. And look at that. And again, it is blue, but it's going to blend very nicely. And we can put another layer of green under it. That looks a bit blue, right? But no big deal. You know what I'm going to come do is I'm going to add some more green on top. I'm going to take the tip of you can see me, let me get a little bit closer down here. And I can take the tip of my size 7 and just make these really individual branches, which I love. I love that tip on the end of a round brush. I really recommend getting a 7-inch, that's the, you know, 7, 6, 8, any of those sizes, but that round tip, it's not too big, it's not too small, and I find like I can do a lot with it. Okay, so let's back out a little bit. Now let's come back in. This is looking nice. You can also see the difference between, this is a lighter tree, right? I don't have as much depth. Also that really dark, it can really, it creates a beautiful shadow, right? Because of course, in some areas on the tree, you're gonna have shadows for the branches overlaying one another, depending on where the light's looking, etc. All right, so that looks lovely. I actually really, really like this. Let's add some color here. Now for this, I am gonna recommend maybe getting a smaller brush because our paint's still a little bit wet. So I'm grabbing, I didn't realize I had forgotten to grab my smaller brush. And anything, it's size 2, a size 4, you can still use a 7. That will work fine. You might want to let it dry for a few more minutes though, because we're working in a smaller space. Let's go ahead, I'm going to add a pop of red to this tree. So I have cadmium red, and I believe this is the medium hue. I'm going to come in just a little bit closer, and I'm going to move this up just a little bit so you can see that. Come in a bit closer here, and I'm going to add this right, little bit of red. If you can, don't color the whole thing in, leave some white for a sense of that reflection. And I'm just going to move around. I'm trying not to touch the green because green and red, what do they make? They make it brown, right? So I've got a little bit of a bleed there. Okay, so you see where I'm bleeding in together. So what I'm going to do with that right in there is I'm going to go grab a dry brush and then come around and just sop that up. You could use a paper towel, but the paper towel, what I find with the paper towels is they don't have any angle, right? It's such a big, even if you have it wrapped around your thumb or your finger, it's hard to get it exactly, and you end up blotting more than, at least I will blot more than I want to. I really just want to sap up that extra red. That's all. And it's going to turn a little bit brown. That's okay. I can come back and layer it. It's not a big deal. So I move that. You notice some green got in here, so I'll just turn the brush around. And oh, we now have a green ornament. Yes, we do. So I'm going to take another dry brush. I'm going to set it here. See, we just keep painting. There's messes in the middle, and you just keep painting, keep going. All right, and then I'll let that completely dry, and same with that one, and then I'll come back and add more red. Now for this one down here, I'm going to move the paint back like this. I'm going to pick up a little bit more red here, and then I've got my one singular ornament here. I've got a couple little ones, and then I think I'll make these yellow, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a nice red basket, box, container that he's in. This sweet Charlie Brown tree. Again, leaving some white, so for reflection. Okay, and that's really fun. I'm even gonna go on the outside too. My red container, I think a little bit of brown got in there, that's okay. That is okay, I'm gonna just dab that. And the cadmium red is an opaque. I always say the opaque colors they don't play as well with other colors. They will overpower. That's fine in a painting like this, but it's always nice just to know what kind of paint, if it's a paint that likes to play together or a color that does not like to play, likes to take over. I just call them the bossier colors. Okay, I'm going to sop up a little of that brown, and we'll come back, and that's fine. Well, probably what I'll do with this is it'll create a little, let's see what I could do. I could take some brown here and just dab it. We're going to pretend that this tree is still planted. It has not come up yet. It's in perhaps a Christmas tree lot. Perhaps on a farm, perhaps it's a tree outside. All right, that looks really nice. See, we just ad-lib when these little hiccups come. I'm gonna bring this up so you can see this. We don't get bothered by the messes, and you can see how I can just keep on going here. Now I'm gonna pick up some yellow to show you just one more thing. Cadmium yellow is a really nice color. It's a bold, one of the primary, very similar to primary yellow, so it's going to look really nice with your cadmium red and with the green. And I'm just going to do, maybe we just think we've got like some twinkle lights around here, right? We're just going to do some pretend twinkle lights all around the Christmas tree. And that's really cute. Oh, we got some red ones. We mixed up the red. Not a big deal. I will take the paper towel for that one and just see if I can dab and, oh, I lifted that up pretty nicely there. All right, see if I can get that. Get that guy down. Again, don't get too bothered with little mistakes. When it dries, I can come back with the micron pen too and just do some light sketching. I picked that paint up just fine. Very good. So this is really fun. I'm going to grab maybe some, you know what I'm going to do is I'll grab that blue for our wrap around this tree, and I will just lay some blue down as if it's one of those blankets. And if I wanted to, I can come back and do some shadowing. We could take a light brown, for example, and just shadow like that, and then reach it out. That looks really cute too. It looks very nice. All right, you guys, so you can see I can continue on and do some more, but I want to just lay it out what it might look like to do some fun Christmas planning. I'll end up cutting these out and I'll show a picture of what they look like. I'm going to create a bookmark. I can create something for my planner with maybe a reminder on it for me. So many things you can do. You could do a hole punch, put a ribbon through it, and they can be ornaments or gift tags, all sorts of things that you can do with these really sweet Christmas trees. So as you do your holiday planning, take a few minutes and pull out your paints and let's do some creating as well. Okay, you guys, I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. I'll take care and I will see you soon.